This is the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
And Doc, this week's episode of Tigers Talk is brought to you by DC Sports at beautiful Lakeside Mall in Sterling Heights. DC Sports is your go-to source for authentic sports memorabilia and terrific autograph signings in Detroit and beyond. Please follow DC Sports today on Twitter at DC Sports Detroit. And make sure to check out their terrific website at DetroitCitySports.com. And welcome to the latest, freshest edition of Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company. I am your host, Vito Geronimo Chirco, alongside my usual sidekick and broadcast partner in fun. That is the Doc from Doc and Jock, John Charles Macaroon. John, how are you doing, man?
Vito, the month of June was not the best for the Detroit Tigers. I mean, a lot of the games resulted in losses. It was a tough time.
We know that.
It was a tough time, but this week I'm really excited because you ventured down to Comerica Park. And, obviously doing this podcast and following baseball, being fans of the Tigers, we obviously want to get some inside information, some talk regarding the Detroit Tigers from the players. And you ventured down to Comerica, and you actually had an in-depth conversation with Niko Goodrum. We're going to start the podcast with that. I'm fascinated that we got the access. That's awesome. I'm thankful to Chad that he replied to our emails, and now we have the opportunity to actually go down there and interview the players. I do think that you're a great broadcaster. You're also a great interviewer, and you got some inside information. You had previously met Niko at the DC Sports signing, great sponsor of the network, and so you obviously said, okay, I want to take this further. I want to interview Niko Goodrum, and it finally took place. So tell me about it. What was it like? And then we're going to play the interview that you did with Niko Goodrum from Comerica Park.
Well, first and foremost, is Niko Goodrum my buddy now? Officially, Niko probably wouldn't consider me his buddy, but I like the guy. Really good to talk to. We talked for about 15 minutes. Now, edited is about 1350 or so. Anyways, that's not important to you guys. Really good stuff, though, out of him. I mean, he really went long on some answers, like gave me some in-depth, open-ended answers, and really expressed himself on some stuff that I had asked him about regarding playing for Ron Gardenhire, his 5-for-5 career night in his native Georgia. Beautiful night for himself. May 31st against the Atlanta Braves. Also about all the positions he plays. What's his favorite one? Also the most challenging one for him. Playing in center field at spacious Comerica Park. All of that and more with Niko Goodrum in my interview with him this week, Doc.
Awesome. So set the scene. What was it like being in the Detroit Tigers dugout, obviously interviewing a player? You have the staff obviously overseeing everything. It's prior to a game, so obviously the preparation is taking place. What were you thinking as it was going on? Were you like, okay, cool, this is finally something that I wanted to do, an extension of meeting Niko Goodrum, finally having a credential and being able to actually get some information from a player that you respect?
A little bit nervous to start off just because it's a Tigers player inside the dugout, and then I've got a Tigers individual, staff member there sitting by my side. So, to start off a little bit nervous, but everything came out well on my end. I mean, I asked him everything I wanted to. It's not like I had a mind blank and couldn't remember some stuff as I was talking to him. And I think it flowed along, man. I think we're buddies, Niko and Vito. So it went really well, Doc, to sum it all up.
I'm very proud of you. That's the mission, is that we always wanted to cover the Tigers, get some inside information, ask fair questions. That's it. You're professional. You ask the fair questions. And it was something that I was thrilled to hear got approved and went down. Now, obviously, in doing these type of interviews, it doesn't exactly go exactly right in terms of like, hey, we want it done this time at this place, da-da-da. But in the end, the best part is that we're so flexible that, hey, you tell us where to show up, when to show up, whenever it is, whenever we get the approval, we're going to be there. And I think that's what you're going to hear on this Tigers Talk podcast, is that Vito is going to get the interviews. He's going to work hard to get some inside information to supplement what we do here, because the podcast is great. And I love doing this podcast with you, a fine baseball broadcast that people listen to and respect. You can follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome, and you can follow the network at Detroit Podcast. All right now we're going to play Vito's interview with Niko Goodrum.
So, Niko, to get this started, I actually met you at DC Sports for an autograph signing. How did that go for you? To recap that a little bit, because DC Sports is a sponsor as well of the Detroit Sports Podcast Network.
No, it went good. A lot of people came out. It was a good experience. Signing stuff, being able to talk to them, and actually checked the store out, seeing all the cool stuff they have in there. So it went pretty good.
How have the Tiger fans been to you? What have they been like for you since you joined the Tigers, Niko?
No, they've welcomed me to Detroit. The good and the bad. They all support. They're here every night, rooting us on, and we appreciate it. It's it's tough. Baseball is a tough game, and for them to stick around with us, we appreciate it a lot.
Playing against the Braves now in your native Georgia, with all those family and friends there, May 31st. Want to bring up that game specifically? A career high 5 hits, 5 for 5 in that game for you, Niko. How bad did you want to put on a show specifically for your fans, your family and friends that had gathered there to watch you that night?
Yeah, it was a special moment, being able to play in front of friends and family that, this is my 10th season playing, so they haven't seen me play since high school or maybe Little League or, so being able to play in front of them was a good experience, for me, and I just wanted to, play hard for them, and, 5 hits, 5 hits later, and it wasn't any, added pressure or added, I'm trying to work hard. It just happened to fall that way, and it went pretty good for me.
So when you have a night like that, I know you've had 4 hits in a game before as well. Yeah. What are you seeing when you step up to the plate? Are you just seeing the baseball differently coming out of the pitcher's hand when you have a night like that, Niko?
Things are just slow. It's slower. It's slowed down. The ball looks wider, looks bigger. It's everything is just flowing. You're in a good place as far as you feel comfortable in the box. Everything is just working, and you're getting pitches to hit. That's a big thing. When you see those days of 5 of 5, you look at the pitches that person hit. If you go back, and there are pitches that are in the zone that are pitches that you can drive. So that doesn't happen often because the pitches are good as well. So they're making pitches. So those nights that you're able to get 5 hits, you'll pretty much see that those pitches are in a place that you can drive them.
Where does that night rank among the best moments for yourself in your major league career? Because I got to believe it's right up there.
It's up there. Getting drafted is there. I won a few rings, I think 3 or 4 rings in the minor leagues. But, yeah, that's definitely up there with getting drafted. Being able to see my aunts, grandma, and family, friends that I played with growing up. Everyone's there, high school coaches. Like, it was packed. So it was a special moment, and, because I never thought that I would be playing in Atlanta for a while. It never came to my mind. I looked at the schedule and like, wow, we're playing in Atlanta. So there's a lot going on, but it was a special moment.
How many text messages and phone calls did you get after that game too?
Oh man, but it was above 60 text messages. So everyone came out to support, and they was either there or they was watching on TV and or listening into it. So like I said, it was just a good moment for everyone.
Let's transition to this now. Playing for Tigers manager Ron Gardenhire. What is that like for you, Niko? What have you learned from Gardy thus far?
Yeah, Gardy allows you to play. He allows you to go out there and play your game. He doesn't make you into anyone else. He takes what you are and makes it better, and he allows you to learn. We're all learning. You still learn. You never have it figured out. But especially us, we're a young team, and we're got to go out there and we got to just figure it out. And that's what he's doing, man. So every day we love coming here playing for him in this city, and it's just a good thing going.
Obviously, you guys have experienced struggles this season. What has Gardy's message been to deal with those struggles and keep just going at it every single night you play?
Just staying locked in, staying positive. Not worrying about what anyone else is saying. Just worry about it and take care of the guys that are in that locker room. Take care of each other, have each other's back. Because it's a long season. It's a tough game to play. Just off of you got 8 people in front of you and one guy catching, behind you, and they're all trying to get you out, and you got to try to find a way to get the ball away from those guys and get a walk or some way to score runs. So it's just the game itself is tough. So don't be too critical. You're never as bad as you think. You're never as good as you think you are. So every day coming out here grinding, the effort is always there. Just coming out trying to get better and just keep playing.
And now you have to make defensive plays as well to win consistently.
Yep.
Now, you've played all over the baseball diamond this season, obviously.
Yep.
So you can play everywhere. You've played first, second, short, even third, left, center, right, even DH this season, Niko.
Yep.
What's been the most challenging position for you?
Pinch hitting.
Because you haven't played catcher and pitch.
Pinch hitting that's a tough thing, and I think anyone would do. But as far as the position I've played is the most challenging, I think DH would be the most challenging position. Just because you just make sure you're staying locked in on the game. It's just a tough thing, sitting down, waiting until you get back up, getting hot, getting cold. You're getting hot, getting cold, and just staying loose and locked in on what's going on because you're kind of not. You're in the game, but it's almost like you're not in the. It's it's that area. So that I guess DH would be the most challenging.
So you would rather be playing in the field because of that, because it keeps you more focused AB after AB.
You're in the game. You're in everything. You're in every pitch. You're just totally. You're in the game. It's not one moment that you're not in it. So you have no time for your mind to think about something else. You're just focused on the game.
At DC Sports, you told me that shortstop is your favorite position. You've played a lot of that this season thus far, Niko. Talk about why that is the case. Well, first and foremost, is that still your favorite position after all the games you've played this season at short? Yeah. But also, why has it been your favorite position in the past?
I grew up playing shortstop. It's the most comfortable position for me. Just naturally, it's just everyone has their routine, and then they get comfortable. You get comfortable getting in your car. You know how your seat's supposed to feel. You get comfortable getting in your seat at the house. You know how that's supposed to be. Someone's been in my seat, or it's just that thing. Or if you're just comfortable in that position, so I just played all my life, and it's a fun position. You got a lot of action. You got to go left, right, in, back, turned over plays. Like, there's a lot going on, so you got to stay sharp. You got to stay focused. You got to keep your body right because you are moving a lot. So the fatigue will, try to get in on you, but it's just part of the game, man. It's a lot. It's just a lot going on at short, and I just enjoy that.
Playing center field here at spacious Comerica Park, how difficult can that be?
Well, it's difficult. There's a lot of room out there. It gives the pitchers a chance. That's 420. That's a long way out there. And as hitters, we're pissed because it's 420. But when we're on defense, we're happy about it. But it's just a lot. You got to see if you want to play in or you want to play back. I like to play deeper because I much rather come in hard than go back. Some guys like to play shallow and go back to the 420. So it's just how you playing and just getting your reads out there and trying to get comfortable with knowing where everything is at. And that's a big thing. You just know where, how far this is, how far I'm to the fence, when I need to find the fence, the warning tracks here. And it's just, the more you play it, the more you get better at stuff.
This weekend, playing against the Washington Nationals, specifically tonight against Anibal Sanchez, Sunday against Max Scherzer, two former Detroit Tigers pitchers who have excelled thus far this season, especially Mad Max, as they call him, a Cy Young Award winner in years past, you going up against him on Sunday. What's the prep work like for you as a hitter going into a matchup against those guys, and specifically Sanchez tonight on Sunday against Max Scherzer?
Well, for me, I can't speak on anyone else, but for me, I just try to make everything as simple as possible. I don't try to complicate things. I just go out here and understand that I'm playing the baseball game. It's the game at the end of the day. It doesn't change with what player is on the mound or who's out there. It's still the game. People come to see the game. And that guy has to throw the ball over the plate, and we got to try to hit it. So if you just keep it simple with I'm out here playing the baseball game, it's not I'm out here playing the Washington Nationals with so-and-so pitching. That's you're just doing too much, but you still go in, you take in and watch video and see what this guy likes to do. But, I don't put anyone on a pedestal as far as this person, because then that gives them an advantage because you're worried about this person, whoever it's going to be. So you just go out there and play the game, and they gotta face you too. They know that if they make a mistake, they could pay for it. So it goes both ways. You respect everyone's careers. They respect Miguel Cabrera. Miggy is a Hall of Famer. So you respect that, but you can't fear that. So just the same way as we don't fear any pitcher. Is we get in the box and they're gonna have to throw the ball over the plate, we're going to have to swing it. We may take some bad ways at chasing pitches, but at the end of the day, it's the game, and we're just going out there playing the game.
Speaking of Miggy, what have you learned from him?
It's just, it's amazing just watching him because the hitting ability he has is crazy, man. You watch him, and it's just like night after night, how does he do it? People talking about home runs, but it's just like y'all are not watching the game. Understand the game and understand what's going on. As you get older, that's just part of, they're just, home runs are home runs. It's just a hit. So you look at a person that got 19 home runs, that's 19 hits. What else did you do with your other hits? You know what I mean? So watching him every night go out there and get those hits and him passing greats that you see they put on the board, they'll show, oh, he passed so-and-so, and it's like, my goodness, so passed this guy in RBIs, passed this guy in home runs, passed this guy in hits, and being a part of that and being able to witness it and watch it is pretty cool. So you just learn just watching him. It's not just one thing that you can just spit out, oh, I learned this from. It's just every day You watch how he approaches the game, and then the talent is just unbelievable. It's off the charts. How he gets in there, and you just like, how is he taking these pitches like this? How is he doing this? How did he hit that ball that was inside? How did he hit it to right center? It's just unbelievable talent. So you just sit there and just embrace it and enjoy it.
Easily said, he's an all-time legend.
Yeah.
Now for you, how important are analytics and how much are they involved in your game-to-game preparation?
Yeah, you go out there and you see what the scouting report is on yourself and what they're saying that you can improve on. So it's good to improve. Helps you improve your game. How I think about it is everything in moderation. You take what you can for it, but don't overdose on the analytics parts because it's still a physical game. We still got to go there and play. It's a mental game as well, but when you start to throw too much into the equation, it can kind of clog things up and take away from your natural ability to just go play the game and let things happen for you. So, but no, I definitely use it. It's definitely helpful. I just feel that for myself, I don't want to, get too many analytics in it and just allow my ability to take over on the field.
Do you care about WAR then? Because that's such a huge stat. You hear about it all the time. I bet you hear about it all the time yourself.
I literally go out there and I play. I look at the scouting report. We got our cards on where we need a position, and we talk about what is he pitching in this count, what's happening in this count. But at the end of the day, it's just the numbers gonna be what they want to be. People gonna say what they want to say, and it's out of my control. And I can hit 10 balls hard, and I'm out. And then it show over 10, and then it's a oh man, you over 10. It's like, hey, I'm doing all I can do. If they catch it, it's out of my control. All I can do is get to the ball, and so I just focus on that part of the game where it's just I go out there and play, and then a WAR. I don't even know how a WAR comes about. I don't even know how you get the numbers. I don't know anything about it. So I just go out there and play, and then let everything else take care of itself.
Niko, I'll leave you with this. What's one unique thing about you that many people do not know off the baseball field too, specifically?
Off the baseball, I like cars.
What cars do you like?
I'm currently working on I have a 82 C10 that's almost done. I'm gonna have it up here and after the All-Star break, hopefully. But it should be done this week, and it's just I restored it all the way up, and I just enjoy taking a car. I have a Pontiac that it's almost done as well. So I just enjoy taking a car and making it my own. I don't want one that's already restored. I have a newer car, but I'm just speaking on restoring a car. I don't want one that's already done. I'd much rather get it when it's not in the best shape and make it my own. It's my own stamp, and but yeah, I enjoy doing that with cars.
Building up cars, and you like originality. You like the uniqueness of your own vehicle and building it up to make it what you want it to be.
Absolutely.
And Niko, with that, great stuff from you, man. Thanks for all this time, and best of luck the rest of the way this season.
I appreciate it.
And back here on Tigers Talk with Chirco and Company, and a fine interview. I would say myself, because I did the interview with Niko Goodrum. A lovely individual might be weird to say, but honestly, a dude that's really easy to talk to. I mean, free-flowing once again, and you saw how long we went for, and we covered a bunch of topics and truly covered all the bases. I think in so many words too, Doc.
All right, Vito, let's give love to our last sponsor. And then second half of the podcast, we got to get to the two big issues of the week for the Tigers, Miguel Cabrera and Matthew Boyd's trade value at this point in time. All right, Vito, tell me about the Detroit Sports Commission.
Well, we have the Detroit Sports Commission as one of the fine sponsors at the Detroit Sports Podcast Network. And the Detroit Sports Commission has been bringing tons of marquee events to our very region, that is the Metro Detroit area, since 2001. So for almost 2 decades now, guys. And one of the premier events they put on in all of the nation for high school sports is this premier high school football kickoff event called the Prep Kickoff Classic. And the Zenith Prep Kickoff Classic taking place this August 29th through 31st, with many must-see matchups, such as D1 state champion Chippewa Valley taking on Saline in a rematch from a season ago. You have my alma mater, the D2 state champs, De La Salle taking on Muskegon, a rematch from a season ago. Detroit King, the D3 state champs in the state of Michigan, taking on Detroit Catholic Central as well. Tons of marquee matchups, all taking place in the premier kickoff event, not only in Detroit, but in all of the Midwest and the nation indeed. And you can follow the Detroit Sports Commission on Twitter and on Instagram at DET Sports. And make sure to check out their terrific website at detroitsports.org.
So, Vito, speaking of the tough month of June for the Detroit Tigers, their record was 5-20.
Is that not good?
That's not good at all. But, when you look at it, it's a tough time. The team's not playing exactly the way they want to. There's a lot of talk, a lot of chatter now regarding who are the leaders on the team, what's actually going on. You covered a series where the Detroit Tigers lost 2 of 3 to the Washington Nationals. You had a guy come back. You had 2 players. Two,
by the way, who beat the Tigers.
Anibal Sanchez and Max Scherzer. You saw not the best offense in terms of productivity. Anibal Sanchez and Max Scherzer were able to handle their business. But in the end, the way you look at it is, okay, the Tigers are, basically well out of contention. Under 500. The season's basically over. Now we got to talk about what's going on. And one of the situations that is ongoing and really stressful for the Tigers and not a good look is Miguel Cabrera, okay? In Sunday's game, he obviously comes up to face Max Scherzer, and he strikes out. He obviously faced a pitcher that was obviously, Max Scherzer said, I was gunning, I was pumped, I was amped to face my former teammate in Miguel Cabrera, and he struck him out. And unfortunately, though, the ball was passed. And in baseball, when the ball is passed by the catcher on a third strike, you can run to first base and actually get on base. That's sometimes you see a batter strike out and the ball gets past the catcher. You see him run, at least make an effort to run to first base, and the catcher will have to zing the ball down there to first base. Well, obviously, a lot of people paid attention to the fact that the ball was passed. Miguel's, slumped his shoulders and kind of walked slowly back to the dugout, and a lot of prominent people noticed, that in combination with kind of being a little disrespectful to Gordon Beckham during an interview session with the media, where he kind of was, maybe joking around a little bit too much when Gordon was giving an interview, and some of the media downplayed it. Some of the media said, it wasn't like he was really clowning around, but he was just kind of like being silly, joking, and in a mocking kind of way when Gordon Beckham was addressing the media. And Gordon Beckham is a great stand-up guy. Mid-level journeyman that's on the team, and obviously not having the best season, but he's a guy, stand up. He's talking about, the fact that it's a long season. You got to take it one day at a time. But Miguel Cabrera's there in the background, and he's joking around and kind of, being a little bit passive-aggressive with the media, and so some people took offense. Now, one person who was a former reporter and day-to-day beat writer for the Detroit News, Lynn Henning, he was not happy at all with the antics of Miguel Cabrera. So he took an aggressive stance, and he came out and said, look, with the issues that Miguel Cabrera is facing, with the fact that his power numbers have diminished, with the fact that he has these antics, with the fact that, this is a guy that in future seasons probably is going to be diminished along the way. He actually, via his Twitter page, and he said in a strong, bold manner, his take was, I'm done. It's time for the Detroit Tigers to just write Miguel Cabrera a fat check, pay him out for whatever he's due, and let's move on. The rebuild will truly start when Miguel Cabrera is not on the team. And I was shocked. I was like, really? You're willing to just cut Miguel Cabrera? Especially, his season's not been great, but prior to the game versus the Nationals where he didn't run out the strikeout, he had 3 RBIs. Now, his power numbers have diminished in a season when, May and June, the most home runs have been hit in a long time. I understand that. I understand people's frustrations, but you don't just cut Miguel Cabrera. Who eats $100 million?
Well, it's not going to happen. That point is not going to happen.
Exactly.
It's too much money to buy out, for the remainder of his contract until 2023.
What was your impression of Lynn Henning's take? Why did he say that? And do you think that there's some merit to the fact that maybe there's some turmoil behind the scenes with Miguel Cabrera in terms of how he's relating to the team, his energy level, his willingness to go all out? And then again, everyone is pointing out the fact that Miguel appears to be out of shape. And
yeah, he has been for a long time, too.
But he's also, for those that want to say, Miguel Cabrera is one of the guys that's actually producing. He's a guy that is battling a degenerative knee. He's trying to get out there game in, game out, despite the fact that his knee basically is in really, really rough shape. He's out there. He's a gamer. So there's a group of people that say that, and there's others that say, this is a guy that potentially is hurting the team. Where do you stand, and why do you think Lynn's coming out so strong against Miguel Cabrera?
Well, I think what Lynn Henning said is something that many media members and fans alike have known for many years regarding Miguel Cabrera. He is no true veteran clubhouse leader. It's just he got away with that in the past because he was producing 40 bombs a year, 100-plus RBIs, and hitting 300-plus. It didn't matter if he was the best clubhouse leader, because guess what? What it comes down to is the bottom line about you producing. If you are, your teammates and the higher-ups that lead the way for your organization, they look the other way if you are producing. They don't care nearly as much about what you're doing behind the scenes, behind closed doors with your teammates, and whether or not you're being a true role model and an example of good behavior to the rest of your teammates, and especially to your younger teammates. But right now, when the team is going through a massive rebuild, and the large majority of the roster is youth-driven, he has to be more of a leader. But guess what? He's not that. He's not capable of that. And at this point in his career, at the advanced stage he is in his Major League Baseball career, at the age of 36, he's not willing to turn the corner. You're not going to teach an old dog new tricks. He doesn't want to accept the responsibilities of being that true veteran clubhouse leader. Now, here's one thing I have to say in defense of Miguel Cabrera, though. In the past, he's been playing with these injuries and getting through them and still slugging for great numbers and producing great numbers year in, year out. It's just as he's gotten older and older, well, those injuries have caught up with them, and he hasn't been able to play through them and still produce at the high level that he once did when he was the greatest hitter of about a 5 to 7 year period of time. I mean, you look at these numbers and all the games he played, Doc, from 2008 when he first joined the Tigers until 2014. In all of those seasons, he played in at least 148 games. Okay? This guy was a trooper, was a true soldier who played through many nagging injuries day in, day out, and still managed to produce and at an all-star level and produce a triple crown, produce 2 MVP trophies as well for himself. He was that great of a slugger at one point. But guess what? The injury bug has caught up with them. Father Time is still undefeated, and the man that exemplifies it the most at this point, at least on the Tigers roster, Doc, is Miguel Cabrera.
See, I'm kind of a guy that looks at it and says, look, Mike Ilitch decided to reward Miguel Cabrera. Everybody knew this is what was going to happen. The contract was going to be an albatross at this point in time in his career. He's still producing. He's still getting RBIs. He's still, getting on base. The unfortunate nature is I think that people are really affected by the fact that the Tigers didn't win. They didn't bring home the World Series. He's on this team now that's rebuilding. But unfortunately, Mike Ilitch gave out this contract. So unfortunately, you're going to have to deal with it. And it is what it is. Unfortunately, I don't agree or subscribe to the notion that, hey, you know what, this guy's a lost cause. What should happen, really, at the end of the day, is I think Ron Gardenhire, in some of his messages to the media via his interviews, has kind of taken maybe a way hands-off approach with Miggy. Well, this guy's a Hall of Famer, so I'm not going to tweak his swing. I'm not going to go do this thing. So I would say this. I think it's okay. The guy's on the team. He ain't going anywhere. When you make a boneheaded play like that, you stand up there and say, look, Miggy's our guy. We agree with him being on the team, but he's got to run it out, and he's got to do some things. You can criticize Miguel Cabrera in a professional manner. You go out there through the media and say, look, Miguel botched the play. He should have went out there and ran. We expect more of him, and we expect that Miguel Cabrera is going to do a little bit more. And in regards to his shape, yeah, he can be in better shape, but his knee is degenerative, and we got to get him on a better program, maybe to lose some weight so that his knee can sustain some more, longevity in terms of the fact that, hey, if you have less weight, then there's less bearing on a knee that's degenerative. So I do think that, potentially speaking, Gardenhire and that management should not keep this all hush-hush. If there's talks about him being out of shape and a bad leader, then you come out and say, Ron Gardenhire should come out and say, look, this is a young team. This is a team that is going to need some guys to step it up. And I'm going to call upon you, Miguel, to go out there and handle your business. Stop joking around. When the guys are talking in the media, don't act like that. And I think he can be called out. It's not a big problem because what is he really going to do? Is he going to be a malcontent? No, he'll just take it. Maybe he'll be upset for a little bit. But me personally, I think Ron Gardenhire has taken maybe a too passive approach with Miggy.
Okay, big guy. All right, big Doc. Would you have the cojones, though, to stand up to Miguel Cabrera? You would not have the cojones. Don't give me that crap. Miguel Cabrera is a Hall of Famer. You get where Ron Gardenhire is coming from. Ron Gardenhire, at least, was a proven skipper in the big leagues. A lot of years of experience as a big league manager. So if anybody can stand up to him, it is Ron Gardenhire. It wasn't Brad Ausmus. Brad Ausmus was never going to stand up to him, and even if he did, so even maybe if he did as Tiger skipper, Miguel Cabrera was not going to listen to him. The message was going to go in one ear and out the other. With Ron Gardenhire, there's a chance at least, a slight chance, he'll listen to Ron Gardenhire. But still, at the end of the day, when you're dealing with the Hall of Famer, who you kind of have to treat with kid gloves because he's very sensitive. He's a big baby. We realize that with Miguel Cabrera. Doesn't like hearing the criticism, even when it's warranted. So you have to treat him with the kid gloves, and you might not be willing to say what you think Ron Gardenhire should say, which is, in so many words, to set him straight, right? To say something that will set him straight and get him in shape, right? Because he has to shed some LBs. But guess who that is on more than anybody on the Tigers staff? It's the Tigers training staff. Ron Gardenhire isn't going to make that call or make him get into shape. That is on the Tigers training staff to get Miguel Cabrera to shed some LBs. And at that point, if Miguel Cabrera is not willing to shed the LBs, he can be labeled clearly as a malcontent, which I think he already has become in that Tigers clubhouse, which just derails even more the team when they're lacking talent, are in a massive rebuild, thus don't have a lot of major league talent at this point. When he is away, acting the way that he has up to this point, it just further derails the season. And once again, I think it indicates he has become that malcontent. If he wasn't in years past, Doc, he clearly is right now to me. And in so many words, I think he wouldn't listen. I think the training staff has the right, at least they do, to speak up to try to get him to shed the LBs. And then if he doesn't, I can see where Lynn Henning is coming from with those tweets, that tweet storm he sent off a few days ago, Doc. I think it was warranted because if he's not going to listen to the training staff, wouldn't you just walk away from him and buy out his contract? Because why would you want to deal with that on your major league roster when he's the supposed clubhouse leader, or should be based on years of experience?
I got a question because...
Okay. Thanks for cutting me off. I was pretty much done anyways.
Yeah.
You know that, right?
I got a question, and it's interesting because do you think that the Tigers are trying to send a message to Miguel, but through Lynn? Because that guy's got to be connected. The guy's just not going to start throwing bombs unless he's talking to people.
Well, no, Lynn Henning's going to throw bombs now because guess what? What is he right now?
He's not in the clubhouse day to day.
He's retired.
But
doesn't have to worry. If I was him with like the 40 years of experience, I'd say whatever I want to about these guys. And he's been on the inside. He has seen on the inside what these guys are like, including Miguel Cabrera.
But do you think he has relationships with those within the organization that
are indicating him that this is going on and like telling him, directing him to send these messages on Twitter, you're saying?
No, but validating that there are concerns regarding his weight, that there's concerns regarding what he's doing.
He's got sources inside that clubhouse from years of experience covering the team. Yeah,
and
I believe in
speaking that if you don't want to go directly to Miguel Cabrera, then what do? You go to a guy that might put out some information that is derogatory towards Miguel Cabrera. So that's interesting.
Okay,
it's interesting
derogatory.
to look at.
But when you say derogatory, don't we use that term when it's not warranted, kind of? Typically, this is warranted, it sounds like, about Miguel Cabrera. Everybody knows this. All the media that we work with, that we see at the games, Doc, that are inside the clubhouse, they think this and say this amongst themselves. Maybe we don't hear it with them. We don't know them as closely. They're talking about this, man.
They don't say cut Miguel Cabrera. They
no,
don't say
well, they're not tweeting it out, but guess what? They're thinking it at times. I know some of them, Doc.
To cut Miguel Cabrera?
They
let him go?
They might. Well, guess what? Listen to this, though. Once again, if I walked in here every single day, Doc, and refused to listen to your advice, which I do sometimes anyways, but all the time, like that's the word on the street, what Lynn Henning is saying, like Miguel Cabrera, he's never listening. He's not willing to shed the LBs. So here we go. I'm going to direct this towards you regarding Miguel Cabrera. If Miguel Cabrera were this guy, once again, that kept having people come to him telling him to shed LBs, and then he continuously refused to shed the LBs, wouldn't you want to walk away from the guy? What's the point of having that guy inside the clubhouse if he's not listening to anybody?
If I'm paying you $100 million, I don't care. I'm going to start yelling.
Suck it up, Chris. Say how much money you got. I know it's not worth it. It's not that feasible because of all the money he's owed until 2023. I'm just saying, forget the money. Forget the money now. Would you walk away from this guy if not all this money was owed to him?
Of
so
course.
That's the point Lynn Henning's making. Now, for it to be feasible and for it to actually happen, there probably is too much money in the way because of what he's making until 2023.
Final topic. A lot of people are talking about the fact that, okay, the price is really high for Matthew Boyd. And it's kind of disappointing at this point in time because there's a high-end player that the Astros have that potentially they could let go, but it's not going to happen. And now you realize, because people are reporting outside of the Tigers organization, that the asking price for Matt Boyd is pretty high in terms of they want 2 to 3 everyday players, some prospects and things like that. But it doesn't seem like, just based on what Boyd has done in his last few outings, that I think general managers have some leverage to say, look, this individual's up and down, he's inconsistent, whereas the Tigers are like, can you just look at the first 8 starts that he had and not the last 3?
Yeah.
So it's a tough situation because here's the bottom line. Boyd's okay. Is he worth what the Tigers are potentially asking for? No.
No.
And
unfortunately, trust me, the Tigers, I really wish they could get these guys.
And there's not enough of desperation out there because there is a Madison Bumgarner. There are other guys out there that these teams can potentially go out and get for lesser returns. So I think that's the problem right now that Al Avila faces, is that he didn't trade Boyd at the right time. He's not catching these guys at their highest value. And so, unfortunately, Boyd is kind of around an average pitcher in general in terms of the fact that he's not lights out, game in, game out. He's not a 20-game winner. He's not going to have a Rick Porcello-type season. There's going to be a stretch of time where he gives up some home runs, and it's unfortunate in that the market for Matt Boyd is not enough to bring back what Tiger fans want. So for me, in my mind, I'm not so certain in 2019 he'll be traded. Maybe in the offseason, but for me, it's going to be Shane Green and Nick Castellanos, probably for sure, and maybe a Boyd. What's your take on it, and how have you seen this go down? Because I feel like Al Avila is in the toughest position.
Well, Al Avila, I think, is trying to make up big time for the fact that he failed in that trade of JD Martinez to the Arizona Diamondbacks, when he should have gotten a huge coup of middle to top-tier prospects in return for JD's services. He failed to do so. And I was trying to make up for that, Doc, via a trade for Matthew Boyd, and trying to send him to the Astros for Kyle Tucker, to the Yankees for Gleyber Torres. These future all-star caliber players, or current all-star caliber players, such as Gleyber Torres, a man that can play both middle infield spots and hit for power as well. So a sexy option, a guy you will clamor for, and I think will be a star for future seasons there in the Bronx. But Matthew Boyd isn't the type of arm that will warrant a team giving up the like of Gleyber Torres or Kyle Tucker from the Houston Astros. And a guy maybe he could have traded for such a haul in years past is Michael Fulmer. Now out until next season, underwent that Tommy John surgery. He missed the boat maybe in dealing Michael Fulmer when he didn't do so, when he could have and could have gotten that huge coup of prospects in return for his services. So now, once again, he's trying to redeem himself via a Matthew Boyd trade and trying to land those top-tier dudes from other teams that are impact bats and are close to, or right now, are Major League ready. But, unfortunately, Matthew Boyd, and over the course of his last 3 outings, I think has proven even more that he is not that top-flight arm that can lead a Major League rotation. Can he be a middle-of-the-rotation guy as a nice left-handed option? Sure, but as a top-of-the-line guy in your rotation, he's not that guy, and he has proven that. So this year, a good season out of him. You know, he's a guy that could have been an all-star for the Tigers this season, but is he a bona fide ace-caliber arm that warrants a return of guys that are the like of Gleyber Torres, are the like of Kyle Tucker? The answer is no. And that's the problem right now with Al Avila as he looks to deal Matthew Boyd.
Tough times, Vito. It's like you're trying to rebuild, you're trying to pick up assets, but unfortunately, the ones that you already let go of, the JD Martinez, the Verlander, the Uptons,
guys that you could have let go of when you had the chance to, when they had that high value, such as Michael Fulmer before the injury. Now his value has been diminished. You're not going to get a Gleyber Torres for him at this point. Maybe a year and a half, 2 years ago, 2.5 years ago, you could have landed Gleyber, a guy like that, for Michael Fulmer. You're not going to get that for Matthew Boyd.
And that's the toughest thing, is that you're trying to maximize the return. And Al Avila, he knows that people are critical. He knows that people are wondering what's going on with all the returns. He knows that potentially his job's on the line. And I think that right now, how people are viewing it is that the returns that you got are not as good as you potentially could have gotten for the guys you already let go of. And you can't do that now with Boyd, Castellanos, and Green. Green is likely to get you what you need in terms of the fact that most teams need a reliable arm. You can get some prospects, but Boyd, I'm not so certain you're going to get the high-end guys that you're looking for. I think his name is Tucker, is the guy from
Kyle
Houston.
Tucker from the Houston Astros,
Yeah.
outfield prospect, can hit. We need hitters, bad.
They've tried
Matthew
twice.
Boyd isn't the guy that's going to land you those guys, unfortunately. I love Matthew Boyd, Mr. Nice Guy. Love the guy as a person, too, but you're not going to land those guys for
Last point.
Boyd.
Should we expect a guy like Al Avila, because he tried to get Tucker in the Verlander trade, didn't happen.
Supposedly, it didn't happen, yep.
Boyd, now they're trying to get Tucker again if they make a move with Houston. Is it wrong to say that, you know what, if a team just says no flat out, is it on Al Avila, or does he have to say, look, do I got to package Shane Green and Boyd to get Tucker? Because of the fact that, hey, at the end of the day, you can say, well, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, but this is a bottom line business. You got to retool this team. And so is it fair for me to be a little bit critical and a little bit judgmental, going like, hey, go out there and make the move happen? If you target a guy and the name's being swirled around that this is a guy that could really drastically help your team, this outfielder Tucker, do the job. Get the job done, and whatever it takes, bring him here.
But you can't just make any trade that you
Within
hope
reason.
to make.
Within reason.
I mean, come on. You think
Can you make one?
97 won the tickets and to trade Mike Valenti for you?
Yeah.
Not gonna happen. Okay?
I think
pipeline dream. It's a pipeline dream for the Tigers to land Kyle Tucker for Boyd. Now, if you package Boyd with somebody else, such as Shane Green, maybe, and entices the Astros and makes them make that deal. But you know what? Just for Boyd, it's not gonna happen. You're not gonna land that top tier guy, unfortunately, Doc.
Great podcast recording. You can follow Vito on Twitter at Vito Jerome. He has great baseball knowledge, a great sports broadcaster, does weekly podcasts for the network. Tigers Talk every Wednesday, Two Bad Hombres every Saturday. You can follow the network at Detroit Podcast. If you've agreed or disagreed with anything that you've heard today, if you want to comment on the Niko Goodrum interview, feel free, lob us a tweet. Vito's always engaged, and we love talking to the supporters of the network. You can find the Detroit Sports Podcast anywhere you can find podcasts, and for all news and information regarding the network, go check out DetroitSportsPodcast.com. Vito, I wish you a happy 4th. We'll talk to everybody next week.
Happy 4th. Adios.